Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Parenthood Uncut, where I'm bringing you some real life updates from my trip in Greece at the moment. This episode is not edited, so you'll have to forgive me if I trip up or if it doesn't sound perfect. But what I am trying to do is provide you real updates as they happen, and essentially to speed up the process of getting these episodes out to you during our season break. So what I wanted to talk about today was, is it actually worth traveling when you have toddlers or babies? I mean, I think this is very topical because so often you hear people say, well, the kids aren't going to remember it. And look, I'm struggling even looking after them at home with all of our home comforts. Why the hell would I get on a plane or a boat or, a bus and head off somewhere new, particularly overseas? I think that's quite a common thought. Too hard with the jet lag, etc. Is it really worth it? So look, I'm here to sort of give you my insights as I travel with my 2 and 3-year-old. Ultimately, absolutely, it is worth it, but I don't want to come across as though it's sunflowers and rainbows all the time, because it certainly isn't. And at the Parenthood pod, we're bringing you the realities of parenthood. So I really want to bring that to you and stress some of the challenges whilst not wanting to sound whiny, because I certainly am very grateful for the experience that we're having at the moment. But okay, so what are some of the biggest challenges? I mean, firstly, jet lag. Jet lag is such a hard one for us adults to get over sometimes. Certainly for the little ones, it was really tough. I would say it probably took our boys 6 full days of waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and not going back to sleep. So we tried everything during that time. We were, putting them to bed later, 9, 10 o'clock at night. We tried doing the 8 o'clock at night thing just to see, adjusting their daytime naps just to see what was going to stick. We had the dark room. We put the aluminium foil on the windows and all of those things, but nothing was working. And at 3 a.m., they were up and roaring, ready to go. So that was a bloody nightmare, to be quite honest. And often you think, oh, well, whatever, you're tired on your holiday, what's the big deal? But the funny thing is that when you're tired, it's almost like you just kind of lose control around everything else that comes with your day. So, we'd be going off to the supermarket exhausted. We'd go to pick up milk. We'd come home with bags of shopping and then go, oh, we forgot the milk, or stuff like that, where you're just kind of all over the shop and you don't know where you put things and all that. So yes, of course, it's easier to be sleep deprived on a holiday, but it certainly does get you. And I know that there were moments where I just sat there thinking, this isn't a bloody holiday for me. Like, I'm exhausted. The kids are driving me nuts. Like, they're fighting or they're biting each other or whatever they do. It used to just be so much more peaceful when we went on holidays without children. And I guess that's probably another thing I wanted to sort of dive into. I mean, I think it's important to readjust your expectations when you are traveling with children, because the beautiful holidays, even just the plain experience of sitting there, reading your Kindle, watching a movie, getting to your destination, unpacking and popping a bottle of champagne, while listening to the ocean roar in front of you, it's not like that anymore. And often this whole parenting gig, which can be quite relentless, essentially follows you on your holidays. So a lot of the time it is having to care for the children, making sure that they're comfortable. And this all sounds like such common sense, but it's funny because when I came on the holiday, I was starting to get really frustrated that it didn't feel like a holiday, because I was sort of comparing old holidays, or the last time we came to Europe, what that felt like, and it felt a lot more relaxing, to be quite honest, than the times with kids where it's not all about you. And we all know that, but sometimes I think it's important to remind ourselves that life has changed, and it's not going to be quite the same as when you used to travel alone or with your mates. I will get onto the good stuff as well, so bear with me. The other thing we actually really struggled with was a mosquito infestation. That was absolutely delightful. So one morning the kids wake up and they're covered in mosquito bites, and I'm talking like head to toe. I think my son Charlie on his left arm had probably about 30 bites, and they were like consecutive, one after the other. So they were completely eaten alive by mosquitoes here in Greece. And again, it seems like, oh, well, probably not that big a deal, but you're sitting there looking at your little one and they're feeling agitated. And so we got straight on to where we actually brought some antihistamine drops. So we gave them that. And, we literally bought every mosquito repellent product in the supermarket, sprayed their rooms, plugged things into the walls that produce smells that are safe to be around, and all the things just to make sure that never happened again. Thankfully, we've actually been pretty good on the mosquito front since, but the poor little ones still have like dots all over them and they look like they've got the chicken pox. So it's like little things like that as well, that when it's on yourself and you're kind of like, oh, that's a little bit annoying, but to have, a few mosquito bites, but when it is with your children, you just feel that extra level of anxiety, or at least I did. So that was probably a challenge I didn't expect us to come across. But what I would say, hot tip, bring your insect repellent. I had already put insect repellent all over them actually that night, and they still got eaten alive. But bring all the things just to sort of make your life easy. Another thing that if I'm being completely honest, that I've been struggling with a little bit is that there is no tap out time. When the kids during the week go to daycare and then you pick them up, or they're going to school or whatever it looks like, and you've kind of off you go to work, and so you're tapping in and out of family time. I guess one of the beauties is absolutely, and I'll go on to this, but that you are having so much family time, but it is pretty full on when it is 24/7. And so those little quirks that would get to you at home sort of tend to be amplified slightly. So, there were so many times where I'd just be sitting there and I'm like, I've just told this kid to stop doing XYZ a million times. They're not listening to me. Like, oh God, like I'm on a holiday and now I'm feeling guilty that I'm not having fun on my holiday, and I'm frustrated, and I shouldn't be frustrated because this is my holiday. But now, so it's, again, an adjustment. And I don't think there is an easy solution. That's just what it is. I mean, when you are traveling with your family, I found it actually really difficult as well just to switch into holiday mode. And to be fair, I don't think I've even switched into it yet, and we're about a week in. I think what happens is when you are so hectically busy prior to the holiday, and in my life, we were moving back into our house that was sort of newly renovated due to a flood. Work was bananas. There was a million other things going on in my life that I was so on edge about. And then you kind of go, okay, I'll hop on the plane and I'll just switch into holiday mode and I'll be, all happy days. For me, it hasn't really, that hasn't been my reality. If anything, I've probably been a little bit more edgy because it's just hard to just turn that switch off, I find at least. So, that's one thing. It's been a bit more of an active practice, and I have actually started doing a little bit more meditation and just try to, have a few moments to myself when I can to just sort of flick into that mode. I think with time it should kick in, and I certainly feel day by day I'm feeling a little bit more relaxed. But it is interesting that we don't necessarily just snap into it as soon as you reach a study destination. So yeah, look, I guess they're probably some of the biggest challenges that I've experienced at least. But, back to the point, is it worth it? I mean, I would say absolutely. I mean, regardless of whether you're parenting at home or parenting on holiday, all of the tasks and things do need to be done. And that's kind of life now. And I need to say that because I need to remind myself that, Leonie, that is life now, willy-nilly walking around, looking after myself, Leonie, that phase of my life is gone. And there's so many more beautiful aspects of this phase of my life. But yeah, one of the challenges is you do sometimes find that you're putting yourself last. But look, I do feel as though you create so many beautiful memories with your family that you otherwise wouldn't have had. There were moments where we'd be sitting there at the pier, looking out to the boats, the sun setting, the kids are having ice cream. There's like a moment of silence while they, suck on their ice cream. And I just remember looking at Jules and smiling and just being like, I just can't even believe we're here. And I can't believe they're here with us, like how special. Or the moments where, Noah's retelling a story about when he was on the plane and the things that he did, or when he, was on the island or went on the boat, or what that looked like. And you just, so many times I look over at Jules and we just think far out, like we are creating memories that, who knows if he will remember them, but he certainly does remember what is happening now, right? So it's so beautiful to see that growth, and also to just be a part of, such a special time with your fam bam. So look, ultimately, when I sort of think about it, traveling with a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old, really, I think the next trip will probably just get easier and easier, given that they'll become that little bit more independent as well. They're at that needy age, and that's what it is. But ultimately, to be able to create memories and to kind of, navigate the challenges together is kind of what life's all about. So, look, that's all from me now, folks. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe and leave us a review. Share it with a friend. The more we get the word out about the pod, the more we can grow. Until next time.